And we are live once again. Hello and welcome to the Prince Magnum channel where hot rodding and romance do coexist. I'm your host, Prince Magnum. Welcome to Sober Talk. Here on Sober Talk, we deal with every issue that whether you're just getting into recovery or thinking about recovery, or you've been in recovery a long time, or you have a loved one who needs recovery. Okay? Now, there has been a question that has arisen, and I've been asked to talk on it. And the question is, Prince Magnum, how in the world can you go into a bar and not drink? You're an alcoholic, and that's what you're programmed to do. I want to thank my friend Becky for giving me the inspiration for this video. Because she actually, if you've kept up with the channel, we ran into each other, hadn't seen each other since we were in high school. Tried to keep in touch as best we could, and she wants to know the inside dope. Well, that being said, that's exactly what we're going to talk about today. Now, unfortunately, the plan was to do a live stream with Project Spirit, working on a couple of things, but you know what? To be honest with you, I had to put it off because I had a friend call me and say, "Oh, I'm having problems, need help," and I had to jump in Old Spirit and take off and go give a hand. So unfortunately, we have to postpone, which is okay. Not really, but when a friend in need, that's the way things work with me being Prince Magnum. When a friend needs help, you don't bail, okay? You got to go sometimes. He's been there for me. But anyhow, this still works out because I needed to answer this question for Becky, okay? She wanted to know, all right, how do you do it, Prince Magnum? How do you do it? And immediately she said, you must have a lot of willpower. Well, unfortunately, I'm going to burst everyone's bubble. Every alcoholic will back me on this. There is no willpower to the first drink. Your strength comes from a power greater than yourself. Now, a lot of members of AA will say some sort of God. And most of the time, God in this case is a generic, far-off being that, is loving and understanding. And it's just kind of that's kind of the thing. Then there's your more religious members that, they throw in Christianity, that's their higher power. Or I've even sat in a meeting where it was, I sat next to a Muslim, okay? And for the record, not all Muslims are bad, okay? The ones that I've sat in meetings with are very good people, and they sat in churches, Christian churches. So here on Sober Talk, there is no prejudice, okay? If you have a problem with alcohol, you're a friend of mine, okay? So if there is no willpower to the first drink and your power has to come from a higher power, that pretty well kind of just about go, that video's done. But I wish there was more to it than that, okay? We need to also dispel some myths as well, while we're kind of talking about that. Again, your strength has to come from a higher power. And the big book, this book right here, is very clear when you have to go into places like that. And I'm actually going to do something that a lot of times doesn't happen here on the Prince Magnum channel. Sometimes I kind of quote certain spots in the book, but we're actually going to go to the actual spot and I'm going to read off exactly how it works, okay? So we're going to actually do that in this live stream. I'm pretty sure the members of Alcoholics Anonymous will be glad to know that someone's actually quoting the real book. Real quick, the myths I want to dispel. Number one, if you go into an AA meeting today, you will hear members of the program say, don't hang out with your old drinking buddies, okay? Wrong. That's actually wrong. If that was the case, the very first 12-step call known to Alcoholics Anonymous would have never have happened. The co-founder, Bill W., was technically 12 step by someone who was of a different program, but it was Bill's, 12 step call, if you will, to kind of, if you will, how I want to say, it was the 12 step call before there was an Alcoholics Anonymous. But if it hadn't been for that 12 step call, there would be no Alcoholics Anonymous, if you will. All right. It's a little tougher to say than, you think. But the person who came over was a guy named Ebby. And the only thing that him and Bill had in common by that time was they drank together. Okay? So understand this, folks. There is nowhere in this book does it say don't hang out with your old drinking buddies. It doesn't say that at all. Okay? And if it's not in this book, I don't believe it. Okay? Now, what I do usually say in AA meetings when I go is, if the person is actively drinking and they're ready for help, take someone with you if you think that you can't handle it. And it doesn't hurt to take somebody with you, because when they hit that point, it's not uncommon for a person to, another thing that comes up in Alcoholics Anonymous, they'll say, if it's, the men stick with the men, the women stick with the women. For a brief amount of time, I've had a female sponsor. Surprise, surprise. By the way, when the first woman came to Alcoholics Anonymous, who sponsored her? It had to be a guy, okay? Now, I will say, the stories from back then are probably a little less racy, I guess you could say, than they would be today. So it is a good idea. But if that's all that's available is someone of the opposite gender, it's your sobriety. Do what you got to do, okay? Also, if you get put in this position where someone of the opposite gender, just understand they may not exactly want what you have in the program. They may want what you have, if you catch my meaning. So just be careful there, okay? Weigh out the factors, talk to your sponsor, that sort of thing. Use your head. If you're in sobriety, use your head. We're no longer cloudy-headed anymore, We're no longer living with the blinders on. So use your head. Be smart. Love the mug. Anyhow, so now that we've established that, the big book is very clear on this, and we're going to go right over to, believe it or not, it's towards the last part of the first 164 pages. For those who do not know, the first 164 pages of the big book, starting, from the actual, actually, it's more than that, but there's kind of like a prologue and stuff like that have not changed and stuff like that. But the main text that we use has not changed since its first printing in 1939. Now, there's some people that say, well, treatment changes over time. I'm a firm believer, and Bill W. was a veteran of the First World War, and there's an old military saying, and I'm a firm believer in this, even though I didn't get to serve. If it isn't broke, don't fix it. Okay? So, let's move on. The page that we're going to go to is, so if you're a member of the program and want to follow along, you're welcome to. Oh, that's a vision for you. By the way, I wanted to, this is my original big book, the one that I've had for 12 years, over 12 years now. Okay. And, I want to thank Peggy from the Bonne Terre City Library for refurbishing this old hardback. If it hadn't been for her, this book was pretty much in retirement. So she actually fixed it, and I'm able to drag it out of mothballs, if you will, and still use it again today. That is awesome. I mean, wow. My iconic book. I mean, this is the book I got sober with, okay? We're old friends. Oh, man. The page you're going to want to go to is It's going to start on page uh, page 100. Okay, page 100. Took me a moment. Been a little while since I've had to open this spot up. Okay, and this is from the big book, Alcoholics Anonymous text. Okay, by Bill W.'s hands, proofread and edited by the first groups. Okay, doesn't get any easier than this. Assuming we are spiritually fit, we can do all sorts of things alcoholics are not supposed to do. People have said we must not go where liquor is served. We must not have it in our homes. We must shun friends who drink. We must avoid moving pictures which show drinking scenes. We must not go into bars. Our friends must hide their bottles if we go into their houses. We must not think or be reminded of alcohol at all. Our experience shows that this is not necessarily so. We meet these conditions every day. An alcoholic who cannot meet them still has an alcoholic mind. There is something the matter with his spiritual status. His only chance for sobriety would be someplace like the Greenland ice cap, and even there an Eskimo might turn up a bottle of scotch and ruin everything. Ask any woman who has sent her husband to distant places on the theory he would escape the alcohol problem. Our belief, any scheme of combating alcoholism which proposes to shield the sick man from temptation is doomed to failure. If the alcoholic tries to shield himself, he may succeed for a time, but he usually winds up with a bigger explosion than ever. We have tried these methods. These attempts to do the impossible have always failed. So our rule is not to avoid a place where there is drinking if we have a legitimate reason for being there. This includes bars, nightclubs, dances, receptions, weddings, and plain old ordinary whoopee parties. To a person who has had experience with an alcoholic, this may seem like tempting province, but it isn't. You will note that we have made one important qualification. Therefore, you ask yourself on each occasion, have I any good social, business, or personal reason for going to this place? Or am I expecting to steal a little vicarious pleasure from the atmosphere of such places? If you answer these questions satisfactorily, I can't hardly talk. You need no apprehension. Go or stay, whichever seems best. But be sure you're on solid spiritual ground before you start, that your motive in going is thoroughly good. Do not think of what you will get out of the occasion. Think of what you can bring to it. If you are shaky, you better work with another alcoholic instead. Why sit with the long face in places where there is drinking, sighing about the good old days? If it is a happy occasion, try to increase the pleasure of those there. If a business occasion, go and attend your business enthusiastically. If you're with a person who wants to eat in a bar, by all means, go along. Let your friends know that they are not going to change their habits on your account. At a proper time and place, explain to all your friends why alcohol disagrees with you. If you do this thoroughly, few people will ask you to drink. While you were drinking, you were withdrawing from life little by little. Now you're going to get back into the social life of this world. Do not start withdrawing again just because your friends drink liquor. Your job is to be at the place where you may be of maximum helpfulness to others, so never hesitate to go anywhere if you can be helpful. You should not hesitate to visit the most sore spot on earth on such an errand. Keep on the firing line of life with these motives, and God will keep you unharmed. There's more to it, but I think by now you guys pretty well understand. So for any of you who see me at Laz's Bar and Grill, come tomorrow as I'm doing this live stream, know that I'm there to sing karaoke, to have a good time with everybody. Also know that I'm also there to promote my YouTube channel, so I'm there on business as well. Do not feel like you need to protect me from alcohol. I actually find that insulting, okay? Drink casually, however, drink how you normally drink. Don't change your habits because of me, okay? That bar makes money off of you drinking, okay? I go there to promote my YouTube channel, and I go to add to the atmosphere, to have a good time with people. Just because no one ever sat me down and forced me to drink. I did it to myself in the end. Yes, it's a disease, and I knew there was help available, but in the end, I still did it to myself. I let my disease keep going when I knew there was help out there. So even though it's a disease, I let my disease get the better of me. The day's end, it's my own fault. So don't you dare try to protect me from alcohol. I hate it when people do that. Okay? I hate it when people do that. I find it insulting. It actually hurts the feelings a little bit. Okay? So if you see me in a place like Laz's Bar and Grill, whatever you do, please do not try to protect me from alcohol. I'm going to a bar, okay? So again, if you're ever in an AA meeting and you're a newcomer, obviously going into places like this is not suggested. However, there will come a time if you've worked all 12 steps with a sponsor out of the book, go to meetings, have a home group, and start putting into service work, you can go to places like this without the risk of wanting to drink. When did that come about for me? After my 5th step, okay? That's when I started feeling that compulsion to drink start going away, okay? Real quick, I'll just break it down. When I started the program, I knew I couldn't stop. When I got to my 3rd step, I knew I could never drink again the same. And by the time I got to my 5th step, I realized I never had to drink again, ever, as long as I didn't want to. If I didn't want to drink, I knew what I had to do, and that's doing what was suggested to me in the program of Alcoholics Anonymous. It's that simple, folks. If you're done with the life that you lived before, you're going to do the steps that's necessary to stay sober. You're going to do what it takes. If you're done. And some people never get done. That's why Alcoholics Anonymous is for the people who want it, not for the people who need it. There you go. Doesn't get any simpler than that, does it? And that's from, as old sober man used to say, the Book of Big. We used to joke about that all the time. If Sober Man ever gets a chance to watch this live stream, or on playback, obviously, still thinking about you, buddy. I learned a great deal from that man. Actually, I'm gonna pull a fast one on y'all. On page 112, the first 3 words on that page will tell you everything you need to know about staying sober. And the first 3 words on that page, read this book. So again, the big book oftentimes, even when I'm not at meetings, it is the one thing that I can go to, and it tells me how to stay sober. Just had someone pop on, if you missed out, you're going to, on a lot of it, you're going to have to watch it on the playback. I don't want to repeat a whole lot of stuff because it'll get boring. Right now, at this stage, we're kind of at that point where, I'm just throwing out, I'm just going to tell some stories based on the topic because I kind of hit the, you know, we're going to go back in time to when I was 2 years sober. And, the mindset that I go into, because I didn't actually start singing karaoke, and karaoke happens in bars. I didn't start singing karaoke till I was 3 months sober. And I went into a place that no longer exists. It burned down years ago, and it was called Wild River. Wild River, for those in St. Francis County who've lived here long enough to remember Wild River, a guy by the name of Gino ran karaoke out there. Good guy, fantastic guy. Got to know him. Wasn't real big on rock and roll, but he liked the whole country thing. And actually, I do have video footage on my channel where him and I were both on stage, and he kind of jumped in at a certain point singing Rock and Roll All Night with me. That should be somewhere in my music list, so you're welcome to take a look at that after the live stream. But anyhow, back to the topic at hand. I was 2 years sober, and I went in, and I went up to the bar and asked for a Diet Coke. And the lady, she filled my glass, and she says, now, before I give you this, I got to ask, every time you come up to this bar, you always ask for a soda. And I said, I do, yes. She said, how come you don't drink when you're here? Not that it's any of my damn business, but how come you don't drink? And I reached into my pocket and pulled out my 2-year sobriety coin, and I set it up on the bar. And she looked at that, and I said, I'm a sober member of Alcoholics Anonymous. And the first words out of her mouth are, what the hell are you doing here? She's like, you're in a dangerous place. I said, I don't see it that way. I come here to sing. She's like, but yeah, there's all this drinking happening. I said, hold on a second. And I kind of leaned up on the bar like such, and I said, take a look around you. What do you see? She said, well, I see a lot of drunk people. I said, that's not what I see. She said, what do you see? I said, I see a lot of 12-step calls, an awful lot of them. And she started laughing. She said, you're going to be just fine. I said, I'm not here for the alcohol. I get my soda and I come to sing. I said, you guys are still making money off of me. I said, just not on alcohol. And I said, I said, I'm here to have a good time with my friends, and I'm here to enjoy the atmosphere, being around people, being sociable. I said, in AA, we call alcohol the social lubricant, okay? Magical leopard sweat that makes people get a little bit of courage, if you will, okay? And for alcoholics, we can't partake because of what it does to us. If you will, we're allergic. We break out in spots. Some of us break out in handcuffs. While myself, I broke out in places like Ironton, Park Hills, Fredericktown, that one time in Peevely. You get the idea. I come to in strange places and can't explain how I got there. It also has it's also magic. I said it's magical leopard sweat. It's magical because it makes the money in my wallet disappear. It also makes loved ones disappear and friends disappear. So because of this, I don't like it. Alcohol doesn't agree with me. But Alcoholics Anonymous does not. We're not witch burners. If you can enjoy your alcohol, I tell people, have one for me. Have two while you're at it for me, because it just doesn't agree with me. And I think that's perfectly okay. And I'm proud of the fact that I'm sober. To the extent that I can tell my story here on YouTube about how I got sober. That was one of the last sober talks. I can do that today. And I can tell loved ones, friends in the community, that yes, Alcoholics Anonymous does work. And honestly, other than asking for a donation to help the groups, we're free. Okay? Even though we talk about God, we're not religious. Well, most of us aren't. Even when I do sober talk, yeah, I have my religious faith, but at day's end, I don't talk about it on Sober Talk. That's because of my respect to Alcoholics Anonymous and what it's given back to me. Now, so now I hope all of you understand that, you know, again, I'm gonna point this out. Tomorrow, I'm going to Laz's Bar and Grill to sing karaoke and to promote my YouTube channel, and at the same time to support the other contestants, okay, that have a shot at getting into the semifinals just like I did, okay? I want to support them. You know, we're all putting on a show, okay? Working with DJ Brian of Party Pro DJ, you know, Party Pro, okay? So I'm going there to help promote, you know, Party Pro. They deserve it. I'm going there to promote the wonderful friends that I made who run Laz's Bar and Grill. I can't talk because they don't look at me strange because I don't drink. If anything, they commend me for not drinking. Okay. And at the same time, again, it's business because it's promoting my YouTube channel. Because, I mean, yeah, I'm a maintenance man at McDonald's, but I would like to slow down a little bit, okay? And I'd like to do stuff for the community more. That's going to require money, okay? And I don't make enough money at McDonald's to do what it is that I feel I should be doing for the community. You know, I got a big heart. Sometimes Dad once said to me, son, your heart is too big for this cruel world. And I got to, you know, being sober, I have a lot of love to give back to everybody. And if it means being able to give back that love to all that stuff, so, you know, so I can do right by the people who helped me get to this point, I'm willing to go right past the gates of hell for, you know, to do the right thing for the community and things like that. That's why I'm okay with being around drinking. Again, if you ever invite me into your home and I'm able to make it, I'm a busy man, you know. If I'm ever able to make it, and you want to have a glass of wine, you want to have a beer with your meal, by all means, have that drink. Don't hide it from me. I find it insulting. Okay? Have you got soda? Have you got water? Have you got tea? Without alcohol in it. I'm just fine. And I've done this stuff for years. I'm perfectly okay with it. Tell you another funny story while I have someone sitting there watching. Gosh, I need to quit smoking. The funny story, back when I was about 4 months sober, not a joke. I'm at my apartment and I get a phone call from a buddy of mine, and he says, "Hey man, I got a couple gals that want to drink and we want to do it somewhere safe. They're not comfortable going into a bar. It's kind of their first time drinking. Do you have a problem?" And I said, no, I don't have a problem. I said, you guys can drink here. It's, you know, I said, you guys know you're not driving, okay? You're going to crash here, you know. And he said, well, you know, with you just getting sober, you got 4 months in, are you okay? I said, yeah, I'll be fine. They came over, we hung out, and basically when they started getting really stupid, what am I doing? I'm sitting at the kitchen table working on my 4th step. My first sponsor, Sober Man, blew his stack. He said, well, wait a minute. And finally, he's like, wait a minute, what were you doing when all this drinking was going on? I said, I was sitting there at the table drinking a cup of coffee, working on my 4th step. He just kind of sat, yep, you're going to be just fine. Remember, folks, when you're done with that life, you're going to do what it takes to get sober, okay? That's an important one, okay? While we're also on the subject of sobriety, I also need to really stress, I know this day and age, a lot of you out there think alcohol is bad, pot is okay. Let me really put my foot down on this one, and I don't want to beat anybody down, okay? I have my thoughts and feelings on it, so we'll exclude that from Sober Talk. You know, if you're in sobriety, That's what it means, okay? We are not pharmaceutically flexible, okay? Unless it is prescribed by a doctor or it's over the counter, you can't do it, okay? That's simple. For me to live the sober life, when I say I am sober, I mean clean and sober. No drugs of any kind unless it's over the counter or it's prescribed by a doctor. And the first thing that I do when I get into a doctor's office, I tell him that I'm a member of Alcoholics Anonymous. I tell him my sober date, and I tell him, please, 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 no narcotics. Okay? If it means I have to take narcotics, immediately I tell them I'd rather be in pain. Okay? Because at that point, if I'm feeling pain, I'm still alive and I'm still protecting my sobriety. There was actually an instance where I had a staph infection in my left ankle, and we thought that I was going to lose my foot, and they prescribed me Percocets. And after I left the hospital, I wasn't getting the Percocets anymore. For 2 weeks, I went through withdrawals, and after that, I said, no more narcotics, okay? And so because of that, I'm dead set on it. And I have actually had, when I was going to Mercy, I had to go to Mercy Hospital up in Washington, Missouri, and I'm in the ER. And what did they do? They shot my IV with Ativan, and I was like, ma'am, what did you just put in my IV? Oh, I just put Ativan in your IV. Ma'am, I have a no narcotic policy. And she's like, well, it's already in there. You know, I protect my sobriety. It's my responsibility to protect my sobriety. It's not yours, okay? So, again, if you're a member of Alcoholics Anonymous, no drugs either. Also, for the record, if you're a member of Narcotics Anonymous, same thing, no alcohol, okay? To my Narcotics Anonymous brethren, okay? Clean and sober means exactly what it means, clean and sober, okay? That's simple. And I know I sound like I'm really, but yes, you know, we have to stay that way, because if we don't, we're not going to live a sober life. And one of the hopefully maybe in one of the next live streams, we're going to talk about living sober and existing sober. Okay, there is a difference, but we'll talk about that in one of the next live streams. Again, anybody who watches this on the playback, or you were kind enough to click on the button to watch this live stream, I want to thank you very much from the bottom of my heart. It means the world to me, because the message of sobriety needs to get out there. And I know there for a while, a lot of people wanted to come into sobriety felt that they had to have an intervention because of that stupid reality show. No, you don't. When you're done, you're done. Okay? And it seems like today, a lot of people would rather stay drunk and messed up than get sober. They think that that's the easier, softer way, when in reality, it's a lot harder to stay messed up than it is to get so. It's a lot harder, okay? And maybe, I guess, you know, the reality of having to give it up is too scary for them. And I'm just going to say, if you have a problem with drugs or alcohol and you're not seeking out Alcoholics Anonymous or Narcotics Anonymous, you are a chicken. Call it as I see it, you know. I would rather be clean and sober. Okay. All right. That brings us to the spot where we've got to wind this down. I'm going to hope that Project Spirit is ready, because that means that I'll be able to follow this up with another live stream working on Project Spirit. Okay. So if you like this video, be sure to smash that like button really hard. And I mean really hard, so YouTube knows to get the word out that the Prince Magnum channel has awesome content. If you're not subscribed to the Prince Magnum channel, you're missing out. Because when you hit that subscribe button, you're able to hit that bell icon and you're able to be notified every time we upload a brand new video. Also, if you've not had the opportunity, follow me on Twitter, follow me on Facebook. And also be sure to check out my Patreon account and donate if you can. There is a giveaway for the person who donates the most by August the 7th. Okay? I need to check that and see if anybody has yet. I haven't checked in about a week. So if you've not done so, do so. Also, again, I will be at Laz's Bar and Grill tomorrow night at about 9 o'clock. And I will be performing, I will be singing. I don't know if we're going to live stream. What may end up happening is basically as I do a song, it will be automatically, basically we'll load it directly to YouTube without any hesitation, because I want those who couldn't be there to be able to see exactly what those who were there were able to see. Excuse me. And as usual, get out there and work on a project. I don't care what it is. Just do something with yourself. Video games are cool to an extent, but at some point, get outside and make something happen, okay? I mean, just, you know, get out there and make something happen with your life, okay? If you have a sweetheart, sweep them off their feet, okay? Make something with that life, okay? And kind of a hybrid of what I do with Sober Talk and the other series here on the channel. At day's end, I hope all of you need me as much as I need you. And if no one else